everybody. Welcome to the Sheepdog Project. Doc with you, as always. On my left-hand side, I have Tim Kennedy.
Hello. Why do I move on the left with you?
I don't know.
It's so you can
Well,
draw.
I'm to the right of the line. Yeah, so because I'm the strongest swordsman. Not really. We all know that Tim would be the strongest swordsman in this case. So, but my shield is protecting you from clavicle to groin.
Thank you.
Yes, because you're on my left-hand side.
And your shield is covering you from toe to head.
Yes, because I'm quite a bit small. You know what's funny is how many people. I got a thing on Twitter the other day, and I said something about, well, I'm only 5'6", and people were like, "You're 5'6"? You look bigger on TV." I'm always with you or James. How could I possibly?
James is a giant.
James is huge. Yeah. I can't believe people think I'm 5'6", everybody.
And speaking of giants.
Speaking of giants, we have as a guest today, not physically in the studio, but via telephone from his world travels. We have the world's, not only is he a giant, but even his nickname is the Big Pygmy. It ought to be the biggest pygmy, actually. So heavyweight mixed martial artist, philanthropist, world traveler,
Author,
entrepreneur, great all-around guy. Yeah. Justin Wren is with us via his telephone. How are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing really, really well, and really excited to be on the podcast with you guys.
Well, we welcome you here, man. It's an honor to have you on. I'm a big fan. Tim, you guys know each other personally, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm also a fan, though.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take away from the fact that I'm a fan of his beard. I'm a fan of his fighting.
His beard's coming up a lot, so it must be pretty luxurious.
Of his book, and his passion. I think hopefully we'll have time to dig into all of that. You're just an incredibly inspiring person that I think has, you walk to the beat of your own drum, and that beat is.
It's a damn good one, though.
Yeah, it's
a damn good drum.
Like dum dum dum.
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum.
It's like the backbeat in the song "My Sharona."
But then it changed halfway through, to like some awesome Queen song.
Yeah. It's undeniable. So, Justin, where are you from originally?
Originally from Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, all right.
Not too far away from you guys down in Austin.
Fellow Texan, which means at some point we're gonna have to see you for some barbecue down this way.
No, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Me and meat. I'm a big fan of anything that had to die and then eat it. So,
would you, in addition to eating barbecue with us, would you come down and train with me and shoot with Mike?
Sure.
Not the other way around. Well, we could do it the other way around, but depends on what I got going the rest of the week.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. And in my life, I've only gotten to go shooting just a few times, a handful, like I can count on one hand. So, that'd be awesome.
Mike and I as well. So what are you up to these days? Can you catch us up? Fighting, traveling, saving lives, giving water, stepping on little people.
Being a sheepdog in the truest sense.
100%.
Because he is being a shepherd, a global shepherd for people all over the world.
Yeah. All right. So, book, I can't even just catch us up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right now I am in beautiful Salt Lake City. I'm looking out on the balcony and I'm seeing all the incredible mountains. I forgot how Salt Lake City just sits right against the incredibly beautiful mountains. And I'm here because there's a national outdoor show. And so basically we have Eco Survivor, which is a company that I've helped jump in on from the start. And 50% of their proceeds, their net proceeds, go straight to Fight for the Forgotten, an initiative that I started up underneath a nonprofit called Water 4. And so basically Eco Survivor, it's an outdoor line of lanterns and headlamps and Bluetooth speakers that are battery packs inside of lanterns and the strongest USB lightning cable or micro USB on the market. So it's a really tough outdoor durable gear, and it's so awesome because it's for a cause. And so it's awesome. For Fight for the Forgotten, and to do 50% is nuts.
Why do you need durable outdoor gear, Justin? What do you do that is...
So you go outdoors sometimes? You're not just living on pavement under
to people that don't know anything about you, give us the snapshot of not only your fighting career, because we'll get into that, but also kind of like what your passionate and real work is.
Yeah. So the reason for outdoor gear is haven't been outdoors as intense as you guys, or at least not in the same situations, but out in the elements for sure, deep in the Ituri or Ituri rainforest, in the Congo Basin rainforest, in eastern Congo, which is a pretty active war zone. There's like at least 38 different warring rebel groups in the east. And over the last 6 years, I've spent about 2 years or coming up on that, boots on the ground there. At one time, it was for a full year.
Wow.
And basically, the goal was to train the team to be able to knock out the water crisis on their own. And so where they get to stand up on their own 2 feet, they get off the bench and into the game, and off the bench and just into the game of like helping their own community, being change that they want to see in their own country. And so by empowering and equipping them with the right tools and knowledge, they get to start up their own business. In Congo, we have 20 full-time staff, 12 that are part-time. They are drilling water well number 66 and 67 right now, and that's where they started from start to finish. They go out, they survey, they see the need, and then they, go drill the wells for the communities. And man, a water well celebration to me, Tim, you've been in such incredibly huge, fights and in front of tens of thousands of people. And I've been in fights, bigger fights, and I'm the Ultimate Fighter. I've been on, I've been to the Super Bowl, and my first date with my wife was the World Series, and been to, all the big sporting events, NBA Finals, the Pacquiao fights, and nothing compares to a village getting clean water, because for me, it's a victory of, basically a victory over death, or a victory because they get life through having access to clean water. And so, been on those fun sporting events. I love them. Nothing to come down on them. I love those, but just the joy and the cheers that happen whenever a village who has lost so many people due to dirty water. And that's where we try to target. We try to target the most need, the people who have lost a lot of loved ones. My friend there, Mama Mariamo, she's lost 5. She's one of the most incredible women, but she's lost 5 of her 7 children just due to not having access to clean water.
Oh my
and so to be able to know that a water well's 20 footsteps outside of her hut. She sleeps in a twig leaf hut on the dirt. The fire is her blanket. This is a very traditional indigenous people group, hunter-gatherers, the pygmies. But yeah, to basically be able to unite with them and knock out the water crisis by empowering them. So we say opportunity is greater than charity. Charity can be great, but opportunity is always better. And if you go and you actually live with and listen to and learn from the people who are in need, they'll tell you they don't want to hand out, they want to hand up, and that handout's an opportunity. And so put them to work, and they'll do it for themselves.
Yeah, because charity is perishable. I mean, you give somebody, let's say you went in there with a case of bottled water, that gets used up, and that's not there anymore. But you give somebody an opportunity to do it for themselves, and you're talking about something so basic that so many people in the developed world don't understand. Clean drinking water, talk about something that we all take for granted. I mean,
first world problem.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do you have Fuji water, or can I possibly get this?
Oh no, I only drink vitamin water.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about first world problems. People don't understand. It's even today when I tell people that there are, hey man, there's people around the world that don't have clean drinking water. What do you mean they don't have clean drinking water? Why don't they just go buy some bottled water at the store?
You're stupid.
No, dude, you don't.
Over.
Yeah, exactly. Conversation's over. You don't realize it, and that there are still people out there in the world. And God, it's just, Justin, I got to tell you, the first time that I ever heard your story, because was when you were on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I was just completely blown away. That somebody, took it upon themselves outside of all of, the organizations. You didn't give money to an organization. You didn't put it on a T-shirt or do a PSA. You went out there and still go out there and get your hands dirty. And talk about, you spent 2 years living out there. Yeah. And that's not, what's the travel like just getting in and out? I mean, I'm guessing this isn't, you fly in and, and walk off of an American Airlines flight and jump right in a car and you're out there at your work site in the matter of a few hours. Am I guessing right?
Yeah. Of course, you guys know, but for me, it's fly from the States to Europe. Normally that's 2 planes, and then go from Europe to either Nairobi, Kenya, or Kampala, Uganda, or Kigali, Rwanda. And then from there, get a flight. And normally you might have to go to both those, like Nairobi, then Kampala. And then from Kampala, you get a kind of small prop plane, just hire a pilot to fly you into Congo. And then, you should take 1 or 2 flights there. But once you get to where we kind of break down, we have kind of a base camp there. We have a community development center there of sustainable solutions, and that's where our guys office out of and have a workshop, and they store all the well drilling equipment and pipes. But you land on a runway. Monkeys are jumping off the runway when you land.
Do you have to do one? Do you have to do one initial pass in the plane to scare the livestock off the runway and then come back around and land? Because I've been on strips like that before.
Yeah, quite a bit. And sometimes if we really try to get close to where we're drilling, one time or a couple times we had a circle while we called ahead to the village, and they had to go clear with machetes the runway while we're still circling. And there's 100-foot tall trees, or over 100-foot tall trees on every side of the runway. There's a mountain on one side, and you're landing on a hill. And so the takeoff is brutal, the landing is brutal, and you're crossing your fingers, saying your prayers. And so it's pretty intense travel. It takes a long time. Then from there, that's where the fun gets started. That's where you can take a 2 drives to some of the villages where we have acquired 3,000 acres of land that for the Mabuti Pygmies. It's legally in their name, first time in history of their country they've owned land. But really trying to work on them having some real rights and real land, to their name. But getting that 2,000 acres to get to there is normally a 6-hour drive, but it depends on what season it is, because it can take 24, it can take 48, I think 47 or 49. It was either 1 hour over or under, literal 48-hour journey to get to the same distance, same 6-hour drive, but just having to dig out, 40 cars that are sunk in the mud and get them out of your way because they're blocking the road.
Did you have any training? This sounds like a very daunting task to most people. Mike and I have been to survival schools, like how to purify water. We have access to incredible technology. You and your beard and your massive body get off this plane, get in a car, and drive somewhere between 6 and 50 hours into a remote village of indigenous people that, one, how did you get the balls to do it? And 2 is what are some lessons that you've learned about how not dying is, or how not to die?
Yeah, I think I really learned the hard way. Once you get to the village, a lot of times that could be a real challenge. You have 1 ton of well drilling equipment plus, and that you hike in because it's manual drilling. So we take augers and chisels, single prong, triple prong chisels, these tripods and winches and ropes and chains, and then you have on top of that bags of cement that are 100 pounds each, or you have the bricks and the gravel and the sand bags that you have to bring in and hike in, and the hikes could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours one way. And so to unload the truck, to go 3 hours in on this brutal hike and then 3 hours back, that's 6 hours round trip. And you're doing that a couple times, actually 3 or 4 times to get all the equipment in. So yeah, it's without a doubt the toughest physical thing I've ever gone through. Much tougher than even training with weights. Luckily, there's not as many injuries, but the grueling wise, and it's grueling. You're in the elements, you're in the heat, you're on the hot equator, you're deep in the rainforest, you're battling sickness, whether that's malaria, which I've had 3 times, almost died or amoebas or worms or just bacteria or parasites. And so lots of different stuff there to battle. But it's what they battle every day. So I'm inspired by this team of guys, these warriors that to me are every bit even better, stronger, tougher fighters than I am, because they get deep every single day to fight for life. And so being surrounded by them, without a doubt, inspires me. But no, it's definitely tough. But my first time to get malaria, a lot of people, friends, family, stateside, were like, "Come on back. You don't want to deal with that. They'll never go back and different stuff. But for me, I counted it just kind of as an opportunity to learn and to understand, and to not just have the head knowledge of it, like reading about it, or seeing it, or hearing it, but actually living it and experiencing it. Because, man, this is a battle they go through all the time. Or really the first time I was introduced to the water crisis was just being smacked upside the head with it and having my heart shattered and life turned upside down, holding a 1.5-year-old boy named Andy Bo. And I had just been adopted in by his family. He passed away just in dirty water, and I was cupping the back of his head, and that's when like the blood came out on my hands, and I didn't know. It was just like how we were just talking about people that, well, what do you mean they don't have access to clean water? I was one of those people, and I didn't know that 3.4 million lives are lost every year due to dirty water.
Yeah.
2 million, over 2 million are under the age of 5 years old. And that 800 kids a day die just because of diarrhea, literally die of diarrhea. Yeah. 2,350 a day die of the malnutrition caused by diarrhea. And so they can't absorb the nutrients from the food that they do get because of the water makes it go right through.
Yeah.
And so, man, it was a rude awakening. It was, without a doubt, the most pivotal moment of my life, a transformative moment where it was like, I didn't know how to do any of this. I didn't know to survive. I just learned on the fly. I didn't know how tough it was going to be. But I just looked around at how tough everyone else was through going through that tough times, and how incredible they were. How they're facing some of the world's most brutal suffering, and yet somehow they still have an incredible amount of joy and peace and love for one another and for me. And I'm sitting back complaining about all my first world problems, or my iPhone died, or it's not, I don't have any Wi-Fi.
I don't have the iPhone 7 yet, and all my friends do.
Yeah, and so I love being around them because I grow as an individual and as a person, and I get mentally tougher. But honestly, I feel like my sounds really goofy. I never explain this anywhere, but I feel like my one's tank or cup or whatever stretches, and it fills up to where I have a bigger, deeper capacity to.
Your capacity for living just increases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
appreciation, gratefulness, all that deepens.
You mentioned the joy from getting a well dug, and I'm seeing and just in hearing this and trying to see it through your eyes, I'm seeing it's at both ends of the spectrum, because it's like what you see as a truly joyous event, and the lens through which you see that becomes totally different, and the lens through which you see suffering becomes totally different, because so many people, and I know this now from having been there so much, and Tim and I have traveled to some pretty terrible, I mean, even aside from the places that were completely shattered by war, I've traveled to some pretty terrible places, and it really gives you a perspective for what in the developed world, what we think of as suffering. We make jokes about it, but even what we think of as legitimate suffering, and we're talking about a people that, the clean drinking water, the diseases they face every day, you having had malaria, just the times that you'd had, liver flukes, amoebiasis. I did an interview not long ago when somebody was asking me specifically about jungle warfare, and I said, aside from warfare in the jungle, everything in the jungle wants to kill you.
Yeah.
24/7. I mean, every animal in the jungle, from no matter how big or small, microscopic on up to the scale of an apex predator, everything in the jungle is there so it can survive at the cost of killing you. And now you add into that, you talked about multiple warring factions going on in the same area. In addition to the close brushes that you have had with health, have you had actual security issues? Have you had a gun pointed at you since you've been over there?
Yeah, I have. It's I don't want to exaggerate, but it's at least once a week that you hear gunshots and stuff like that. Sometimes every night for a month or something. And but it's a dangerous place where my wife's first night in the rainforest. First off, she's a saint because it was her first time ever camping ever was in the rainforest of the Congo. She was a city girl, and she decided to chase me out there while we were engaged and come meet my second family there and see the work that we were doing. But we were waking up before the sun was up because a rebel group came in village next to ours and killed 8 people and raped a bunch and stole stuff, and no one knew where the rebel group had exited. You know, did they leave the opposite way? Are they coming towards us, or you know what? So we had to go across the river in these dugouts, canoes from the trees there, and they weren't big picnic sized. They were picnic sized canoes, and so going across that was wobbling. And my wife was a swimmer, and she was also a lifeguard, and she was terrified going across it because different parts of that river have hippos and crocodiles connected to the Congo River, which is the deepest, most powerful river in the world. So you literally have to point way north to end up way south, and not just get taken away. And so, yeah, it was tough. I had a standoff with 7 or 8 guys, and I've never really dug into that. I'm not sure how much I want to do with that, but or how many details I'm going to get into. But 7 or 8 guys, and 3 or 4 of them having machine guns pointed at me and threatening my life and the life of the people I was with, and so that was a tough one because we're unarmed. We don't have anyone with us. If you travel with drugs, you're more of a target. You're putting a target on your back.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I wish the taking care of people. Mike and I, we always say you can almost boil down to what we do is keeping blood in the good guys and letting blood out of the bad guys. This is that gray area. This is that space between there. I wish it was so easy that I could just get rid of the bad people and keep the good people, and that's the solution. It's not that simple. It never is. So now we have Justin Wren that's traveling through some of the most dangerous places on the planet to provide people with drinking water. Justin, you said it's about opportunity. It's reaching down and helping these people up. Like you can give people fish and that's going to survive them for a meal, but if you teach them how to fish, you can give them food for a lifetime. And that's kind of like the Green Beret approach, the special forces idea, the force multiplier idea. It's like what we are as Sheepdog Response, as sheepdogs, like we're protecting those that can't protect themselves. And you are the embodiment of that in a different, unique way, which is beautiful. Don't get me wrong, I want to go with you next time, and those 7 guys that are pointing guns at you, I want to put them in the ground. I'm not gonna mince words because that's what I do. And when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Yeah. But hell, man, it's incredible to see the things that you're doing.
Yeah. As much, Tim, I agree with you as much as I agree with you in everything you just said. And as much as I want to do exactly what you just said, like next time Justin travels, I want to be a security force and I want to be there to take those guys out. But the problem with that area of the world, and I know this, is
it'll never change.
It'll never change. No. If you kill those 7, there's 7 more right behind them. There's 7 more right behind them. There's 700, 7,000, 70,000 right behind it. And that's an area that has known war on some level or another before colonialization.
Yeah.
And that's probably never going to change.
Justin, have you lost wells to warlords?
No, actually, fortunately not, because the areas that we choose, don't have any gold or diamonds or coltan mines or cobalt mines or different precious minerals, and the rare hardwoods there have, for the most part, been taken out, and we've been able to help replant trees now. We've replanted over 4,000 trees by giving the locals jobs to do it. But yeah, it's been a very strategic spot that we've chosen to land, the 3,000 acres of land, and we've looked at maps and seen where the rebel groups are and where they're moving, and obviously you can't predict that, but the places we've picked are days and days and days hikes away from these groups now, and they're far off the beaten path, the road. Mm-hmm. There are these little, footpaths that are 30 minutes, an hour, 3 hours off the road that you do not know where they are unless you have a reason to go there and you know the people there, and there aren't any precious minerals discovered there yet. And so we've worked through the locals, and that's what I love. I mean, we have a guy, my team leader, was taken as a child soldier there. His name is Benjamin Maringa Coley. He's taken, he was 13 years old. He was one of the only few survivors from the entire village. Mm-hmm. I met his aunt. She's got machete scars in her face and her neck and her arms, her legs. To see these guys really turn it around to where they're like, hey, we're done. We're not part of the problem. We're part of the answer. We're part of the solution. We can do it better than you guys can. just give us the tools and let us do it.
Yeah.
To empower them. I mean, our mission statement with Fight for the Forgotten is defend the weak, love the unloved, and empower the voiceless. Oof. And that's what the pygmies have told me, that they're, everyone else calls them the forest people, but we call ourselves the forgotten. And man, growing up as a fighter, having that be my dream, having that dream become a reality, looking up to guys like you, Tim, since I was 18, 19 years old, whenever I was 21, I think, but looking up to guys like you and seeing you're more than just a fighter. You fight for people in this country, and you fight. You're that embodiment of a sheepdog, and just being inspired that these guys are wanting to do that same thing. And to see down the trail, I think we were able to empower those 396 guys to drill 690 water wells to serve over 172,000 people. And now, that was just last year, and now it's over 1 million people since inception. And it's like, they're doing it for themselves, and they take ownership of it. And I think that's a huge problem that we don't do whenever we go in and do a lot of aid. I was trying to say it in the most positive way, but the system's broken the way that we apply it, the way that we think people can't help themselves, with the way that we show up, blow up, and blow out of there. We announce our arrival with a parade. We throw a big party. We take a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, we start patting ourselves on the back before we do anything, basically.
Yeah, or we go into a broken place or an impoverished place facing poverty, and we go in with a cookie cutter solution because we're like, we know how to fix it because we've never suffered from it. Or, hey, it worked over here in this country, and they were poor too, so it's going to work in this country the same exact way. And man, every culture, every country, every community, it's got to be modified. It's got to be changed or tweaked and really made locally sustainable. I mean, that's why we empower the locals, because the average water well in Africa lasts only 11 months.
Wow.
Only 11 months. And there's over 230,000 broken water wells sitting in Africa right now.
Wow. That's
billions of dollars of wasted charity. And there's so much wear and tear, and the locals don't know how to fix them, and they don't know how to repair them, or it's not affordable for them to fix them. And so we got to make it sustainable.
And your passion is contagious. We couldn't agree more in the sense that your mission and our mission are completely aligned. We're trying to empower people, give them the opportunity. While you're doing it abroad in increasingly dangerous places, we're even trying to do it here. I look at Americans that are obese and weak and complaining about the temperature of their air conditioner in their car, and it hurts me. And I know it hurts you when you come back from these places and you see the quality of living that these other people have. You see machete scars. This girl has been raped countless times, but thank God she's still alive. These are the things that we know exist in this world. And my entire adult life, I have fought evil at some level, and now we're in a position. You as an athlete, you as an entrepreneur, you as an author, where our access to people is growing and our influence is growing. And thank God, there's men like you that aren't going to let that opportunity, because now we have a responsibility and an opportunity to really affect change. And I'm saying now, and I think it's no different for you, the things that we've done up to this point are going to pale in comparison for what we're going to do for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And, I'm just getting started. And I think you are too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. I truly, I feel like it really has just gotten started, and awareness is just now getting out there. And how do we, I truly think all the tools are there. Like you're saying, the next 30 years. Bro, I think in the next 30 years or before the end of my lifetime, our lifetime, we should be able to knock out the water crisis for good. And I know that's a big, hairy, audacious goal, and how is that going to work? And there's so much poverty and so much destruction. But it's just I've seen it just work, and it fly on its own two wings by the locals. The first year I was there, we were able to drill 13 water wells with our little team. The next year it was 20. This past year it was 25. It's growing. I was slowing them down the year I was there. And they just sped it up, and they've taken ownership of it. And it's their opportunity. It's their job. It's their impact. It's their community. It's their country. Like, they're more passionate about it than I am. And they're the ones that know the suffering firsthand, that have lost their own family members to it, that almost lost their own life to it. And so they just know that, hey, we've got the answer. We got the solution. We're going to put it in action. I think that's what it takes. It doesn't take, we're investing our time in the martial arts terms. Like, we're investing our time into making brown belt and black belt well drillers, like experts at their craft. And there's so much of the model of, hey, let's take volunteers, which is okay. But at the same time, you're taking these white belts and you're taking time to invest in them, and you're taking the money from the airfare for a whole team of Westerners to go, and then you're taking a $1 million drilling rig out there to drill a well that's way too expensive for them to ever upkeep themselves. Or it's going to break on them, and then no one's going to fix it because you're back in the States. They have to be able to do it, and then do that, empower them. They're going to take it and they're going to run with it, and they're going to be the heroes of it. They're going to be the warriors, the sheepdog. They're going to be the ones that knock this thing out, and we just get to be a part where, I mean, what we try to say at Water Force, we're trying to work ourselves out of the job. Like, that's the whole goal, to where we don't have to work at this for the rest of our lives. And I'm already seeing it where the guys I've trained have trained other guys, and now they've gone to Sierra Leone. They've gone to Cameroon. They've gone to Rwanda and Uganda and Burundi, and they've trained other teams of well drillers that now have drilled 10 water wells. I don't count those and the 65 wells that our guys have drilled, but if I counted up the other ones, that's hundreds of water wells from other teams being trained by our team.
Yeah, and that's something that Tim and I have always learned coming up in the military. Is we always talk about train the trainer. It's not enough just to teach somebody how to do something. Make sure that they know how to pass that on, and you don't want to make yourself too valuable, right? And it sounds, I love your philosophy, working yourself out of a job, and providing such a basic necessity. Not doing, most people look at places like that and they go, oh, we need to give them books in schools. It's like, you know what? If you don't have the basic necessities of life, it doesn't matter if you have, if you're learning how to write the alphabet. It does not. So priorities, people. It's all about priorities. Justin, where can people listening right now? Where can they find out more about Fight for the Forgotten? Where can they support you in this great endeavor?
Yeah. So our website, or the book Fight for the Forgotten, is on our initiative website, fightfortheforgotten.org. It's also at Barnes & Noble or on Amazon, but the best place to get it is our website, fightfortheforgotten.org, because 100% of the proceeds go to the cause.
Yeah.
Also our website, if you want to go there, if people want to get involved, and I get a lot of messages after podcasts like, hey, the great way is you could give, you could donate there. That would be incredible. But even going a step further, like, it makes us more sustainable having recurring donations and just $25 a month, which can be a lot for a lot of people. But in a year's time, that gives 15 people access to clean water, hopefully for a lifetime, because the locals are able to maintain it.
Yeah.
And so, but on Instagram, Twitter, it's at The Big Pygmy, and PYGMY is how you spell it. And man, I'm just so thankful to have this opportunity with you guys, be on the phone with you. And yeah, just like you're saying, and on your point, Doc, this is awesome. So last time I was there, we needed to get, and people wanted to help support a school and start a school for the pygmies. It's like, hey, let's get them something practical first. They need land, they need water, they need food. They need to start up a farming initiative. Them having water to where they're not having to walk 3.75 miles round trip. That's the average water walk for a woman in Africa.
Wow.
With a 20-liter jerry can, which weighs 44 pounds when full. So getting them access to clean water in their village, that decreases that time. It frees them up to do other things. The mothers and children. The mothers were able to go get jobs. The children that had to go collect water got to go to school. They were able to, once they had that water, it freed them up. It freed their whole day up to where it wasn't this round trip, walks for miles and doing that 2 or 3 times a day. And now they have access to it right there at their fingertips. and they're able to spend less time on that, free them up to where the kids were able to go to school. And so, it's just so cool when we get the priorities in line, whenever we empower people, whenever it's not dependent on us, because if it's dependent on me, I know it's going to fail. If it's dependent on a bunch of people, then and they take ownership of it, then it's going to succeed.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've already basically pushed it that way, that it's not dependent on one person, and it's self-sustainable. And I'm going to have links to your website, to your Twitter, to your Instagram, to everything in the show notes. So, and I encourage everybody. I mean, you talk about a real sheepdog. Justin epitomizes that. He's doing great things. This is a charity you can give to, and know 100% your money's going to the right place, and you're literally saving lives. That's not an exaggeration. So, Justin, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your time, sharing your story with us. Brother, look forward to having you down here to Texas, where we can all get together, give you some great training. Anytime you want some medical training from me, or some medical advice, or some help packing out some medical kits, I am there for you, brother. And we'll get you ready. Man. Keep you safe over there, and get you down to Texas when you got some R&R. We'll have some barbecue, do some good training, and Tim and I definitely want to stay involved with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate your time and the opportunity to be on this platform, because that's helping me fulfill that first promise, to help them have a voice. So you guys are a big part of that, and thank you for doing what you do. I'm just honored to get to know you guys, and yeah, I'm looking forward to staying in relationship, man, communication. So thanks so much.
You got it, brother. Appreciate it. God bless you, man. You have a great evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
See you, Justin. That was Justin Wren, everybody out there doing great things. Check out his website. Make sure you support him. And always, and until next time, be a sheepdog.
You have been listening to The Sheepdog Project. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/sheepdog response. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the individual and do not represent any larger entity, public or private.